punished in Bereshit, right? Now you're gonna have to like eat the dust from the floor. Why did like that punishment? Like he took away his legs, his speech, stuff like that. I think I don't know all the punishments, but he did all that.
There's some level of like we mentioned in the beginning. If somebody does something and bad comes out of it, there has to be a consequence to that. Like for example, you do something good, but it's for totally bad motivations. But somebody got good at it. You're gonna get reward for that? There's the worst motivations, but somebody benefited somehow. So there will be a payoff of good for that good thing that happened. Someone who does bad, there's a reality, even if he didn't want to. He was working for the king. And his role is that bad came out of it, and there has to be some payoff for that. What was his punishment? Let's just be more specific.
You're gonna have to tell. I only know the one of the eating the dust and like the legs.
Why is that so bad?
Because now that means Hashem doesn't want a connection with him.
Okay, that's the famous answer everybody knows, is that now what's better to have to go to your father for all you need? So he says, here's my credit card, but leave me alone. What's worse? What do you say, Shay?
The credit card.
What do you mean, your credit card?
Because then he's basically ending the relationship.
Oh.
Like, what relationship could you have if you're never forced to interact with him?
So the answer is that God is keeping the snake alive, right? In a certain way, even more so. Even more so. It's just that God doesn't want that the snake should succeed. Nobody wants the boxing coach to punch out the boxer. He wants him to be just good enough that he doesn't get punched out and knocked out and lose. So there's a reality that God made the world for our benefit. The snake, God is only keeping the snake in the world from the backside, like we mentioned before, which means a certain existence of, I'll feed you a little bit. Like we talk about a killer, somebody, God forbid, who kills somebody. So how do you keep them alive? You need to bring them to trial. So you put them in a pit and you throw a few bones over your shoulder. Take your food. That's called sustaining it me'acharayim. Something you don't like, you just chuck it over your shoulder. So they'll pass that pen, you're like, take it. As opposed to from the front, oh, you get a pen? Oh. Right? It's so nice, right? It's face to face. So the whole relationship with the snake is from the back, from acharayim. Is that the snake made a bad thing. It seduced Adam, even though it was Adam's choice. The snake was just doing its job, but bad came out of it. So now the snake goes into another level of existence, which is that now the snake has all the things it needs, but God is showing it, it's not what I want. Just a reality to it. It's not what I want. It's not what I want. I don't want people falling to the gates of hell.
Okay, there again now.
I don't want people falling to the gates of hell.
I asked Rabbi Berkowitz the question earlier, and he gave me like an answer, but it didn't make any sense, and then you just kind of like put the other piece together.
Well, Hashem. I can fill something in from the Rosh Hashiva, and that's very good. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we're on part 3 of our tips for Rosh Hashanah. So what did we talk about so far? Number 1, be an ish tziburi, right?
Community.
Be a man of the community. Number 2?
Fix relationships.
That's also a very good thing. Then number 2, bittul. Bittul means there's going to be a lot of things. Your kittul moment, what gets used as a shmata, the guy down beside you with the button clicking, your seat, someone's going to take it, all the brisket was taken before you sat down, because you were doing...
come from bitachon.
Bittul, a bit different letters, but bittul does come from bitachon.
Because bitachon is like trust in God,
Yeah.
so that bittul.
Bitachon is emuna actualized. It's the fruits of emuna, meaning I decided I'm going to learn a little bit of extra, a Mishnah or two in the base measures before I run down to get, the brisket. And then all of a sudden, whatever, the brisket's gone. And the guy says, "This is sweet." He starts making up, "This is my reward, God, for learning extra. And now you gave me no more brisket. Just those like fatty pieces." So, bitachon means the second you walk down there, if this is the case, the best thing in the world for me is that I don't have brisket. By far the best thing in the world for me. And it's so clear, like your nervous system doesn't even respond to anything negative. That would be pure bitachon. Yeah.
So what does bittul mean?
Bittul means that you nullify yourself to the moment that this is God's will. I thought that, remember we talked about the tzaddik and his kittel? I thought that I was supposed to have a white kittel for Yom Kippur, but then the person's wife who used it to mop up the floor because she wasn't healthy, and that's just what was around. So now, I thought that I had to have a kittel. No, bittul says I don't. I nullify myself to the truth that God knows what I need.
Kittel now says, you said kittel? What's kittel?
Kittel, the white garment, your kittel.
Oh, okay.
The white garment. We gave a whole story about it yesterday. That's your kittel moment. The kittel moment that a person has. And you can get many of these. And there's going to be an annoying guy beside you. It's all from God. It's all that you at that moment could rise up above your pettiness and be much bigger and realize these are tests of your greatness, your humanness, of how human and how great that you could be. Okay? And then we said tip number 3 is dan l'chafskus. Look at everybody favorably. Because when I look at another person favorably, it means that God will look at me favorably. And we told the story about the tabak, the Baal Shem Tov's tobacco, right? And be very careful the way that we look at other people. On Rosh Hashanah, it's very intense. All the powers of Rosh Hashanah extend into the whole year. I want to tell you another story about, even when you think somebody's not doing something right, you never know. You never know. And it's very, very important for us to realize when it comes to donning people l'chafskus, seeing the good in another person, to know that Hashem made us different for a reason. It's actually good that people are different than you. Imagine you went to a symphony with 500 violins. Same type of soprano violin. Being played by robots.
It'd be very loud.
It'd be bad. Wouldn't sound good.
Wouldn't sound that great, right? It's amazing. I like playing guitar. Everybody knows when there's a couple too many guitars, it's just like someone goes, "Oh, I brought my guitar also." "Oh, great, thanks." A little too many guitars. But you all of a sudden, one guy brings a mandolin. Oh, you know the sound of a mandolin? How beautiful it is.
What's a mandolin?
What's a mandolin?
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, who knows what a mandolin is here? Thank God.
Is it a dumb piano?
It is so
Oh, I know. It's a circular thing that they have like Jamaica.
It's like a s-
yeah.
I don't know if it's a Jamaican instrument, but it's in many places in the world.
Yeah.
It is somebody who knows how to play mandolin. Who are some of the great players? I used to listen to a band.
No, exactly.
There's very good mandolin players. There's a band. When you hear the sound of the mandolin coming in at a certain part of the song, it is Gan Eden Mamish. It is so, I'm sure it's going to be major mandolin. I believe that a mandolin is like a hint of something from Gan Eden. Because a good mandolin player
Will there
is...
be mandolin at the Rosh Hashanah?
So, on Yom Tov there's not, but in the Beis HaMikdash there will be. In the Beis HaMikdash there's instruments, you know that? But without the Beis HaMikdash we're worried that a person's going to play and then fix it. Yeah, there you go. That's a mandolin.
I was not thinking of that.
I think of banjo maybe?
No, I think the circular, you know the
Bela Fleck is one of the best banjo players in the whole world.
I'm not thinking of that.
It's maybe nice to listen to something that he did. I saw, what's his name? Who's one of the best bass players in the world?
Babe Ruth.
Who plays with Bela? You guys don't know good music? No, not Future Man, that's his brother. Cool names, right? What's his name? Future Man's brother. Bela Fleck and the Fleck Tones, and they had a bass player. The best bass player in the world. He's gonna come to me. I remember seeing him at the Koisel. He was there with a bunch of chevra. He's probably gonna come any second.
Back to your
Yeah.
number 3.
So I was at the Koisel and I saw him, and I said, it was Shabbos. I said, welcome to the Kosa. Welcome to Jerusalem. He's like, thanks, brother. Thanks so much. It's so nice to be here in Jerusalem. And it was Victor Wooten, that's his name. I said, Vic, it's so good to have you here by the Kosa. Welcome to Jerusalem. Welcome on the Holy Sabbath to the Holy City. And there's going to be a third base in this year. He's like, righteous. Thank you. Victor Wooten. So it's very, very important to know that in the base of Mikdash there's music.
Do you think he'll get to play in the orchestra?
As long as he believes in Torah, Hashem is and the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, then there's a big discussion that some of the greatest stars of the world could either play or sing. It's a discussion of the Gemara.
Or maybe teach
So have
them.
John Coltrane, playing, and just some of these amazing B.B. King, ripping it up a little bit. In the base of English, it could be.
In the base to make
There's a discussion, there's a discussion. Whatever the primary, what's the primary? The instruments or is the primary the voice? And there's a discussion if different nations of the world can come and be part of the band. So, back to our analogy, if everybody was the same, it wouldn't be good. The tzaddikim even make an interesting point. They say, imagine everybody had the same face. Imagine there was one face that every single person had.
You'd have to tell
Same
by the
face.
body language of how
It's a
they.
bit of scary. Like, what would that face be?
Sure.
Hopefully not mine. I don't think.
No, have more confidence in you.
I don't think I'd like to meet a girl with my face.
Yeah, girls would be one face for girls. And
Let's say a girl face and one boy face, and that was
I'm
it.
gonna go with my face.
So the tzaddik can make an interesting point. They said first I'll be very uncomfortable. You've been, Mom? And also the tzaddik can make an interesting point. They said everyone had the same face, because then you'd have to put numbers on people.
well,
In order to identify them.
differentiate from the neshama. No?
That's why you have to chip them to have some type of identification,
He looks for
Wait, you say
Right?
kill them?
Body.
chip.
Oh.
You have to have some identification feature that's not, meaning, if everyone's the same face, so the Gemara says an amazing thing. It says, Kishem she'ein partzufeim shel adam shavos. In the same way that all people's faces are not the same, that's why you could tell, who your wife is, who your kids are, who your mother is, who your friends are. So too, people's thoughts, people's deos, people's personalities are not the same. It's ideal. It's better. If everyone had the same face, it'd be very uncomfortable, it'd be weird. And we don't feel bad, bro, what's up with your, wanting to have a face, we don't think that way. We appreciate that there's actually, everybody looks different, and there's multicultural variety, and it's beautiful. We love that. We love that. So why do we make problems when people have different ways of seeing things? We have to celebrate that. To celebrate that uniqueness. So just because you see a person and he does things different, it's good that there's multiculturalism. It's good that we do things in different ways. Very, very healthy. Very, very important. That's like different instruments in the symphony.
I agree.
But bear in mind, it's one symphony. You get it? We all have different instruments, but it's all one symphony.
I don't think a robot would like this discussion.
Okay, fine. We're talking about human. We're going in the human direction.
Robots don't have brains, so.
But
We can-
people make AI and stuff.
They don't have rights.
Okay, we can appreciate the brilliance of people and AI, we can appreciate that, and there's functions of that. But humans are the purpose of creation. And with that comes the responsibility of creation. That's why you have to be very, very careful. Be very, very careful. The world was created for humans, but it means that if people start messing things up, then we're responsible. We're responsible. You have to be careful. Are all the resources of the world here for us to use?
Yeah.
Within reason. Within reason. What do you say? Can we go cut down all the trees in Brazil? Just cut down the rainforest?
No.
Why not? I just want to make paper and then burn it.
The country already did that and destroyed the country.
So that's a problem. But if you tell me that are you allowed to harvest any trees?
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Maybe trees have rights.
Yeah, trees might have rights, but depends what are your needs? You know, what are your needs?
Well, my need is to become a quadrillionaire and then leave nothing for the next generation.
That's not smart.
Why not? Smart for me?
Yeah, you only care about money, nothing else.
Yeah, and so on.
You only care about money, right? So
And so
what will that money give you when you die?
I'm just thinking about,
You're just thinking about the next 30 years.
yours truly.
YOLO.
YOLO.
So it's
FOMO
pointless.
YOLO.
You could think you have all the money in the world, because when you die, you're gonna have none of it, right? And you think for the next 30 years.
So why can't I just do that? I can just cut down all the trees. It's going to be good for me. I'm using it. I'm
You
using
don't
it.
care about
I'm a
anyone else.
trillionaire.
You're not care about anyone else either. And like no one's gonna like you.
I'll hook up a couple people.
If you pay them off all your money, then they're gonna have the same amount of money you.
So the answer is we need a Torah to help us. To help us to know that you're here to use this world, but you can't abuse it.
That's why I have.
You have to guard the garden.
Is that why I have, the mitzvah to take care of nature?
Yeah, you have to take care of this world. You're allowed to harvest trees. You just can't harvest them all. And you have to replant as you harvest.
Israel
Yes,
hasn't,
Josh
they
G.
haven't hacked the plastic situation in Israel. They do like using the plastic.
So here's a question. You want to have 50 people over at your house for Shabbos.
I know, I
for
get
the
that,
mitzvah
yeah.
of Shabbos Kodesh.
Yeah.
And you're going to take out all your bone china, and your wife's going to be doing dishes with you for the next 2 nights. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm saying we need to hack the plastic situation.
So,
Compostable baby plates.
so okay, I like compostable. I think that's a great idea. I think it's a great idea actually. I think there should
They
be
have,
more
they have those in
compostable paper
America. They
plates.
have those in America.
Yeah, I think they have them all.
They're a little
you can get here.
expensive, but I'd rather use those.
It makes sense. Am I allowed to use plastic?
Yeah.
What about using too much plastic? Just wasting a little
Couldn't
bit
be
too
in a
much.
favor for a mitzvah.
Okay, should I save my plastic cup to use throughout the day?
Yeah.
Probably a good thing.
That,
Probably a good thing.
buy one of the thick ones.
How long should I save it for? Until it gets like funky?
Well, it'd be better at that point. Better at that point.
What about if it gets a
Thick
little
plastic.
bit like algae? Like it's starting to get. Should I keep it going?
One of the thick plastic cups.
But
That
it's just
way-
proving unhealthy for you and the environment. It just shows you the things there, because I mean, in normal reusable bottle you can wash, and
So reusable.
a reusable bottle, like a
Bottle,
plastic
yeah.
bottle, that you can just chuck and wash or. But if you're worried about it getting moldy and you're worrying about your health, then you should equally be very concerned about the rest of the planet's health.
Yeah. We're here though. The world is here for us to use for good things.
And none of you use.
Not abuse. It's used for good things. It's used within reason. Do I have to buy compostable clothing? Maybe I can't ever use plastic. Ever.
Well, you can definitely.
Once. Not even once. Ever.
You can
I
definitely.
can't use a phone. Where's that gonna go? Stuff doesn't, compost.
Well, you can scrap.
No
it.
lithium batteries.
Well,
No cars. Forget cars.
But
You can't use cars.
Phone, you're going to be able to put more.
Even electric cars. You know why? How do you charge your electric cars? People have to actually think about that. No cars, electric. How do you charge them?
Yeah.
Coal plants.
Yeah, but the coal plant is a lot more efficient than the engine inside your car.
Okay.
Like, I mean,
It has to be thought about.
Comparable.
It's certainly the amount of energy to charge a car is a lot.
Yeah, but to
Solar-
generate
solar.
that energy is a lot more efficient than energy generated by a combustion engine inside your car.
It's important that people just remember. They think like, oh, you charge it, like nothing's happening. It's all good. They don't realize that the electricity came from somewhere.
Yeah.
They have to just think about these things.
But then,
Maybe I can't do any of it because I'm combusting something.
yeah, then it's also.
Maybe it has to be literally like who's that guy that they dropped like into the forest and he just like with maybe a pocket knife? Who's like the best? Bear Grylls. He's the man.
He fakes a lot of his stuff.
Faked it? Okay, sounds
Why?
like Las Vegas.
He doesn't
But anyways, these guys probably, do we need to live like him? Literally twine, rope, like caveman stuff?
No.
But you don't need to live like it, you think like him.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, then that's an interesting thing. I don't have to live like, good thing we have a Torah. The Torah says, enjoy the garden, just don't abuse it. Okay, we're actually really going to have the final installment tomorrow, my friends. Have a wonderful day. Call to Cliffhanger, I'm sorry.
Stop